Okay, so we are meeting after 1 week delay because of this learn issue. So, anyone, do you remember what we have covered in the previous class? I have already uploaded the notes. Did you check that? ULMS up to chapter 3 have uploaded. Okay, so we were talking about the moods and emotions in the previous class. Do you all remember? Okay, so let's continue from that. In the previous class, we have just started the moods and emotion from attitudes, and then this other section we have already covered uh, the moods and emotions, how the moods, emotions, and the concept of affect varies from one another. So the moods are okay. What is meant by the emotions? Anyone? What's the difference between the mood and emotion? Just what do you mean? There are three terms which are closely interrelated in terms of the moods and emotions of the people. So, uh, the first term is the affect, second one is the emotions, and the third is the mood. So, affect is a broad term which covers both the moods and emotions. So, emotions, which we call as the intense feeling, that is directed as someone or something or some event has to happen in order to make a person to become emotionally okay, but the moods are the less intensive feeling and those are not directed at someone or something or some event. So without any inducement a person should be in a particular mood, whether it could be a positive or negative. But if a person wants to be in an emotional state, there has to be something or someone or some event has to drive that person to become that emotional state okay. So there are some differences. Usually, the emotions are caused by a specific event or caused by a person, and those are very short in duration, quickly appears and quickly disappears as well. But in contrast, the moods are not caused by someone, or we cannot clearly define, or we cannot clearly state what causes a person to be in a positive mood or negative mood. So the cause is unclear there in the mood, and it lasts longer than the emotion. So emotion may last for seconds or minutes. However, the moods it may last for an hours or maybe the days. Even the mood, a person may be in a particular mood. Okay, and there are numerous specific emotions are there, globally recognized emotions are there, but usually the moods, there are two dimensions, the positive effect or the negative effect, positive moods or negative moods. Uh, Whatever the moods, it can be broadly categorized under two dimensions. Okay, and usually the emotions are expressed by the facial expressions. Uh, by looking at a person, by looking at the face of a person, we cannot say in which mood the person is in. That means the moods are not accompanied by the facial expressions. The emotions usually accompanied by a facial expression. And when it comes to the action, the moods are an action oriented one. It leads to a person to act in a particular way. If a person is really in a angry ness, or maybe if the person is really nervous or tensed, that may be result in particular actions. Maybe the tense or the nervousness may be reflected by the nail biting. So that's a common behavior the people used to express when they are in a mood of nervousness or they're tense. Okay, but when it comes to these moods, those are not action oriented one. Those are cognitive in nature. So the results of the mood may not be reflected by action of a person. Okay, So this is what the differences, and we have looked into the basic moods. There are many categories of moods available. However, there are six universally accepted or essential emotions: anger, fear, sadness, happiness, disgust, and the suppress. These are the most common emotions the people used to experience all over the world. Universally accepted or universally essential emotions. Okay, and then moods, there are only two: positive and negative. Okay, so the positive mood dimension usually it consists of positive emotions, and the negative mood dimension it will consist of the negative emotions. Okay, so this is how the moods, the connectivity between the moods and emotion could be described. So what are the emotions which fall under the positive effect, and what are the emotions which fall under the negative emotion? And again, those positive and negative we can put it into a dimension of high to low, high positive, low positive, and high negative and low negative. So these are the four different categories of mood, and there are different emotions which could be expressed when they are in these particular types of moods. Okay, and then we have looked into a concept that is called the positivity offset. That means when there is zero input, nothing happens. Usually, the people tend to be in a state of neutral mood, that is neither positive or neither negative. That means they are in a neutral state, experiencing no any particular mood dimension. Okay, that is called as the positivity offset. But when it comes to the emotion, there is no state of neutral. The person cannot be in a neutral state. The emotions, whether it is positive or negative, they have to be experience something. If they are not experiencing any emotion, they are in a state of non-emotional state. It doesn't called as the neutral state. Okay, and the functions of emotion, usually the emotions make us irrational. That means whatever the decision we used to take when we are in an emotional state tend to be a wrong one. It declines our cognitive power, the power of thinking, the power of analytics. Everything would be affected by the emotion. So usually, when the people are in an emotional state, they tend to act in an irrational way. Okay, and the second one is the ethics, how the emotions is connected to the ethics. Sometimes being emotional may make us uh, act in an ethical way. If we are not emotional, if we are not being affected by something, we may not think ethically, we may not act ethically. So some emotion make us act in or behave in a ethical way. Okay, so these are the two functions of emotion, and we have looked into the sources of emotion. The main source of emotions and mood is the personality. It means those are the built-in characteristics born with a person. So that will decide how a person behaves, how a person reacts to an event, or reacts to a person or something. So one of the most important characteristic determining the moods and emotions is the personality of that particular person, and this may differ person to person. That means the strength and the way they behave, or the way they experience or express their emotions may differ according to the affect intensity. And then the second characteristic or second determinant is the day of the work and the time of the day. The people usually tend to be in a positive mood when they a half day from the wake up. Okay, and then in Monday mornings, the people probably not in a better mood, and throughout the week they will be coming, or they will be in a positive mood, and then again they will achieve the higher positive moods in the Fridays, because they are expecting the holidays to be spent during the Fridays. And when it comes to the work after the holidays on Monday, they will be usually probably in a bad mood, and if you are looking for a favor from someone, you should not ask it in the Monday mornings. Okay, and then The other thing which affects is the weather. Actually, the weather has no any scientific correlation with the moods and emotion, but the people tend to perceive that the weather has some effects or some impact on their mood and emotion, and that perceiveness or that intuition is called as the illusory correlation. That means the people tend to connect some events or connect two things. Those are not actually connected to each other. That's how the people used to connect the weather and the moods and emotion, which are not actually connected to each other, which are not actually affecting each other. However, the people, due to the illusory correlation, the people tend to connect each other and they think that the weather has some impact on the moods and emotions. Usually, the people thinks that if they are experiencing the hot and a sunny weather, that will keep them in a bad mood, and if they are experiencing a cold weather, usually they will be in a positive mood. And the other things, stress will put you in a bad mood. And the social activities, engaging in social activities like going for a party or gym, engaging in some social events, those kind of things will put you in a positive mood. And sleep, if you have not had the adequate amount of sleep, obviously you will be in a bad mood in the following day. And then exercise will make you or will put you in a positive mood. And then aged people tend to experience less emotions than the younger people. And the sex, the research usually suggests that the women are more emotional than the men. Okay, so these are the things we have looked into, and then move to a concept that is called emotional labor, that is employs expression of organizational desired emotions. Even you experience something else, some other emotions, your organization, your employer may require you to express a particular emotion. So even that is contradicting with your actual emotion, you have to express it. So some jobs require those kind of emotional expression from yourself, so those kind of jobs are called as the emotional labor. So when a person is engaged in a job like emotional labor, which requires an emotional labor, and when they experience a contradiction between what is expected of them, that means the desired emotions and what they are actually experiencing, they will be in a state of emotional dissonance. It is called as like the inconsistency between the actual emotion, actually what they feel, and what is expected of them. So in such situation, the actual emotions, the experience is called as the felt emotion, and sometimes they may require to display something, express something than what they are experiencing actually. That is called as the displayed emotion. When there is a inconsistency between these felt and displayed emotion, that is called as the emotional uh, dissonance. And instead of this emotional dissonance, the people might require to engage in two kind of activities. One of any two kind. One is surface acting, or other one is the deep acting. The surface acting, in the sense like they can hide their inner feelings and uh, express whatever the emotions which is required by their employer or by their organization. That is hiding their own emotion, own felt emotion, and displaying the required emotion, desired emotion. That is surface acting. Or else, the another options available for the emotional labor to reduce these inconsistency is engaging in the deep acting. That means rather than hiding their inner feeling, they try to modify their inner feeling to suit with the expected feeling or the displayed emotion. That is the deep acting. Okay. So these are the things we have covered in the previous class in relation to the moods and emotion. Is it clear? Anything to ask about the previous lecture? Nothing to ask. Is that so? Shall we move to the other sections? The effective event theory. Since we are meeting after 1 week delay. I just want to recap or refresh your knowledge about these moods and emotion before moving into the advanced section. That's why I have done a recap of it. Actually, I was expecting these kind of things from yourself, but you all are not able to do that, unfortunately. Okay, so let's move to the other sections, which is the affective theory, a theory which is connected to the moods and emotions of an employee at work. Okay, so this is a theory which proposes that employees react emotionally to the things that happen to them at work, and this reflection influence their job performance and the satisfaction. So this is a usual phenomenon that if something happens to you, whether it is work or whether it is in your personal life, you will obviously react to that events in an emotional way. If something related to your emotions, you will react to that in an emotional way, and that reaction will have an impact on your performance as well as your satisfaction when it comes to the organizational context. Okay, so if it is in a personal context, sometimes it may affect your relationships or something else, but when it comes to the organizational context, it will definitely affect your performance and the satisfaction. So, the two things which are being affected by these emotional expressions at work is the performance and the satisfaction. For example, say you found out company is downsizing, that you are working for a company and your company is planning to have a downsizing, maybe due to the cost escalation they are experiencing, like the cost of operations are really high, and a major component of the cost of operations is composed of the salary given to their employees. So they found those things, and in order to cut down the salaries, in order to cut down the cost, they are planning to have the downsizing. Okay, the downsizing in the sense of terminating the employees and reducing the size of the organization, reducing the size of the operation. So how that downsizing will impact on you is, your job security is not there. The organization is going for a downsizing. You may not sure about how long you will be employed by that organization. At any time, that organization may terminate yourself. Okay, so that's the impact of organizations going for a downsizing. So in such situations, you might experience a variety of emotions, especially negative emotions, causing you to worry that you will lose your jobs. At any time, you can lose your jobs. There is no job security given by the organizations. Okay, so, because it is out of your hands, you will feel insecure and fearful and spend much of your time worrying rather than working. And again, if the organizations are going for downsizing, it's entirely out of your hand. You cannot do anything regarding your job, anything to safeguard your job, anything to secure your job, because it's the top management decisions, it's their decision, you cannot do anything out of it. Okay, so it's entirely out of your hands. So what you can do is, the only thing you can do is just worrying about and feeling fear about your loss of your job. Okay, so insecure feeling would be there for you, and you will feel, or you will be having some fear about the loss of your job. Okay, and you will spend much of your time on worrying rather than working, rather than putting your efforts on working. You will be in a state of worriness. Okay, and the needless to say, your job satisfaction will also be down. And again, if you are worrying about your insecurity at job, again, that will put you in a state of dissatisfaction, and that will have an impact on your performance, because you are always worrying about your job and rather than working. So obviously your performance will decline there. And work events that trigger the positive or negative emotion reaction, to which employees, the personalities and moods predispose themselves to respond with greater or less intensity. So, work events. So, this is an example of an event which causes the employees to put in a negative state, experience the negative emotion. Something, if you are promoted to a higher positions and you were not expecting that position, you were not expecting that promotion, obviously you will experience a positive emotion, and you will be in a very good mood, and you will start to work much harder than earlier. So in such situation, again, the events happening in the organization uh, will increase your performance. There will be a positive impact on your performance because of your promotion, the event. Okay. So it can be whether positive or negative, but it will have some impact on your performance and satisfaction. So in such situations, when the promotions, you will be in a positive mode and your job satisfaction will be much higher than the earlier. Okay. And how you react to the event happening this environment, even usually people tend to if react emotionally to the events happening in the environment, but the extent of reactness, like how far you react, will depend on your personality. Okay, so some may react with high intensity and some may react to the event with a lesser intensity. That depends on their personality. And the people who score low on emotional stability are more likely to react strongly to negative events, and our emotional response to a given event can change depending on the mood. As I said, it's entirely depend on the personality. So emotional stability is one kind of the personality dimension which we will cover in chapter 5. So that means the people who are emotionally stable means they could handle whatever the emotions, whether it is positive or negative, with a stable mindset. They may not express it in a they will not be very expressive than the other people. So they could handle those events in a stable manner, while the people who are less emotional stable, they tend to be like react to the event with high intensity. And finally, the emotions influence a number of performance and satisfaction variable, like the OCB, organizational citizenship behavior, organizational commitment, the level of effort they put into their words, intention to quit. Sometimes, if you are really dissatisfied because of an event happening, you will think about leaving that organization, leaving that job, and joining somewhere else. So that intention also been affected by these emotions and moods. And finally, the workplace deviance behaviors, like using some organizational assets to the personal things, and like uh, or else breaking some organizational assets, those kind of things, or stealing something from the organization. Those kind of deviant behaviors also may be as a result of these emotional events. So in sum, we can summarize the importance of this affective event theory in two ways. The first, the emotions provide the valuable insights into how workplace events influence the employee performance and satisfaction. So it provides a valuable insight, like we may not connect these emotions and moods with the satisfaction and the performance, but those are really connected. So this theory provides an insights on the relationship between these two. And then the second implication, or the second important message of this affective event theory, is the employees and managers should not ignore the emotions or the event that causes them, and even when they appear minor, because they accumulate. Okay, so whether it is a employee or the manager, they should not ignore the emotional events happening around them. So even it is a very small, a minor event that may not immediately put into emotional state, but uh, it accumulates, like the events happening subsequently may have an impact because of the accumulation of events. Okay, and then emotional intelligence is another framework that helps understand the impact of emotions on the job performance, and that's what we are going to look into the next section. Okay, so these are the two insights of these effective events theory at work. Is that clear? The effective event theory, yes or no? Okay, okay, thank you, MS52, for responding. Okay, now we'll move to the other parts. I hope the others also have the same opinion. If you have anything else or anything to ask, you can immediately unmute your mic and ask. Okay. Okay, then we will move to these the other concept related to these emotions and the moods is the emotional. intelligence. Okay, so you would have studied this in maybe psychology. I don't know. I'm not sure whether you have gone through this or not. Okay. So, however, this emotional intelligence is a person's ability to perceive uh, their own emotions as well as the emotions of other people and understand the meanings and based on the understanding and the perception they had about these emotions, they could be able to regulate those in a favorable manner. That is what that ability is called as the emotional intelligence. So a person, if a person has the ability to perceive or understand their own emotion, understand the emotions of the other people, and with that understanding, if they can regulate it in a positive manner, in a favorable manner, they have the emotional intelligence. Okay, so this emotional intelligence usually composed of three things. First one is the conscientiousness. The second one is the cognitive one. The third one is the emotional stability. So these are the three components, or three things which gives a rise to this concept emotional intelligence. The conscientiousness means the perceived emotion in self and others. The first thing uh, when it comes to the emotional stability or emotional intelligence is that perception or ability to perceive their own emotion as well as the emotions of others. That means if you can able to understand in which emotional state you are, whether you are angry, whether you are nervous, whether you are tensed, whether you are happy, whether you are surprised. If you can understand in which state of emotion you are in, as well as if you can understand the other's emotional state, by looking into the other person or by having a conversation with the other person, if you can understand in which emotional state, whether that person is really angry or whether that person is really happy, or in which emotional state they are in, that is the conscientiousness. That is the first ability you should have if you want to possess this emotional intelligence. And the second ability is the cognitive one, that is understand the meaning of emotion. The first one you should be able to identify the emotional state, and then the second one, uh, the meaning of emotions, the reasons or maybe the causes which puts them into that particular emotion, and if they are in that particular emotion, what could be the impact or what could be the consequences of it. If the other person is really angry, if you identify that the other one is being in a state of angriness, then that angriness would lead to what outcomes, what could be the impact of that angriness to the outcome. That understanding you should have, that is called as the cognitive one, that is related to your thinking, your the analytical thinking. Okay, and the third one is the emotional stability, that means regulating the emotion. You know that you are in an angry state or you are in a, tension. That means if I'm in a tense state, guy, my performance will be reduced, so that I have to control my tense, my stress, and I have to come down to a calm state of emotion. If you can understand and if you can do something to put yourself in a calm state, that is called as the emotional stability. That means you could be able to regulate your emotions in a favorable manner. So these are the three things the emotional intelligence composed of. And AI has a controversial topic in OB and with supporters and the detractors. Okay, again, the EI is a controversial topic. So some practitioners or some scholars on OB are supporting this concept of this emotional intelligence, and the other people, um, again, they have some contradictory arguments against this concept of EI. Okay, so although the field is still progressing and its understanding of AI, many questions have not been still yet answered, and one relates to proving what AI may predict. Okay, so again, even the organizational behavior is still on progress, still the people are working on it, but some questions related to AI still has not been answered. One such is proving what EI may predict. What could be the outcome of this EI? What is the predictions of EI? For example, while evidence indicate that EI has some correlation with the job performance, the correlation isn't high, and it is explained to a large degree by traits such as emotional stability. So some researchers or some scholars, they suggest that uh, having an ability to predict, understand, and regulate this emotion has some positive impact on these job performance. If the people are really high in EI, then their performance will be really high. That is, a positive correlation exists between these two. That's how the people have predicted. But still, that correlation isn't in a high level. Still, it is a moderate or maybe a weak correlation is there. And then what's the importance of this EI? That's the first argument, one such argument. And the second one is about the reliability of EI testing. For example, the part of the reason EI has only the modest correlation with job effectiveness is that it is hard to measure. So how we could measure this concept of this EI, whether people actually possess this EI or not, how it could be measured. So again, the measurement is having some issues. Again, some vagueness is there in measuring this EI. That's why the concept is not really useful in predicting the behavior at work. So mostly it is measured with self-report inventories, which are of course are often far more uh, subjective than the objective one. So usually the EI is measured with the self-reporting. People tend to report by themselves about their emotional experience, and that is highly subjective. And again, the objective measurements is an input for the EI. So these are some arguments against the EI. Even it is recognized as an important context or concept in OB in predicting the behavior. Still, the arguments are going on. Okay. Uh, is that clear? What EI and how it works? What are the three components? Okay, now we will move to the applications of these emotions and mood in OB. Like we are studying about these emotions, moods, emotional labor, stability, EI, and all. Uh, how it is related to this organizational behavior and how it predicts the behavior at work. The first one such application is the selection. So one implication from the evidence on EI to date is that employees should consider it a factor in hiring the employees, especially in jobs that demand the high degree of social interaction. So the people with emotional intelligence are needed for the jobs, particularly which has a high degree of interaction with the clients or the customers. If the social interaction in a job is really high, the people should have some kind of emotional intelligence. If they could perceive and understand the emotions of the other people or other customers or other clients only, they could respond to them in a favorable manner, or if they could regulate their emotions and all. So for that, some kind of emotional intelligence is necessary. So for those kind of jobs, when you are hiring the employees, you should have these emotional intelligence as a criteria to be tested. Okay, so selection is one such application, and the second one is the decision making. The people good in mood or experiencing positive emotion are more likely than the others to use the heuristics or rule of thumb to help make good decisions quickly. Okay, so whoever experiencing a positive emotion or whoever in a good mood, they used to make good decisions. Again, if people are in negative emotional states or highly emotional states, again it will suppress them from processing the information which is required for the decision making, and most of the decision taken by those people would be the wrong one. Okay, because the positive emotions in a state of positive mode will enhance the people's problem solving skill, so the people find the better solutions when they are in a positive mode. That is one kind of application of these modes and emotion. Okay, decision making. Again, one of the functions of this mood is making the people irrational. That means you should not make any decisions when you are in an emotional state, but a positive mood would help you to make better decisions, better information processing, and better analysis of this problem. And ultimately, the decisions taken by yourself would be the better ones. Okay. And the next application is creativity. Again, the people in good moods tend to be more creative than the people in bad moods. That's normal because you can think about yourself. If you are in a bad mood, you will be again thinking about the situation or the person who puts you in a bad mood rather than thinking about anything else. So that in such situation you will not be in a position to make some creative things. But if you are in a positive mode, if you are in a really happy state, then you will be really creative and engaging in some creative activities. So they produce more ideas, more options, and others think these ideas are original ones. And it seems the people experiencing the positive moods or emotions are more flexible and open in their thinking, which may explain why they are more creative. So if they are in a good mood, the people will be generating more and more ideas. They will be thinking about more and more options, and ultimately, their creativity will be increased. Okay, and then the next one is the motivation. Again, uh, when they are in a positive mood, when they are in a creative state, that will lead to the positive feedback, and again, that positive feedback will be translated into a motivation for themselves. And this positive feedback further reinforces the positive mood, and which made the people perform even better because they are looking forward for that positive feedback from the others. And the leadership, effective leaders rely on these emotional appeals to help convey their message. Like the expression of emotion in speech is often critical element that makes us accept or reject the leader's message. Like if a leader is giving you a speech, um, suggesting or recommending you or telling something to yourself without any emotions, without any expressions of emotions, you will not look into that leaders, or you will not hear that voice, or you will not hear the messages conveyed by your leaders. So if they can express the emotions in their speeches, in their the talks, again, that will have more and more impact on the people's or the followers act. So the leadership would be an application of these emotions or the moods at play. And the negotiation, again, when you are engaging in this negotiation, going for a negotiation with other people, even you are experiencing some kind of emotions, even then you are experiencing the negative emotions because of the arguments going on, because of the debates going on, you should not express it to the negative party or the opponent. You should not express those kind of things, because if the opponent recognizes that you are getting angry because of their arguments or because of their points of view, they will trigger you, and because of that thing they will try to get something favorable to themselves. So you should not express your emotions when you are engaging in the negotiation or bargaining. It appears that a powerful, better informed individual will be less willing to share information or meet an angry opponent halfway. Okay, so the angriness with the angriness you would not able to express your points of view, have a fruitful argument with your opponent. So again, the outcomes would be negatively affected. And the next one is the customer service. A worker's emotional state influence the customer service, which influence the level of repeat business and the customer satisfaction. So employees' emotions can transfer to the customer. So whatever the emotions the employees are in, that will directly transform through the customer or the client. If the employee is really happy, experiencing a positive emotions in a positive state, again he will treat the customers in a very happy manner, and the customers also will experience that happiness. But if the employee is in a negative mood with angriness or something, Um, Again, he will not properly deal with the customers, and that angriness will be transferred to the customer. And customers will also get that angriness. Okay, so the emotional contagion, the process by which the people emotion are caused by the emotions of others, where the emotions of the customers are caused by the emotions of the employees experiencing. Uh, it's important the organization tend to keep the people in a positive emotions, especially for the jobs which requires a high degree of interaction with the customers or the social interaction. And the next application is the job attitude. The people who have a stressful day at work also have trouble relaxing after they get off the work. So it's common that the people who are having a trouble day, experiencing the negative emotion, high level of stress, high level of workload, they tend to express those things at work. Once they return to home from the work, the same emotional feeling would be translated or would be expressed against the people at home. Maybe the family members would be experiencing the same. Okay, so that should not be done. Actually, whatever happens at work should be limited to the work. It should not be like again translated or transferred to the home. And the next one is the deviant workplace behavior. Evidence suggests the people who feel negative emotion, particularly the anger or the hostility, are more likely than the others to engage in a deviant workplace behavior. So again, the angriness would lead to the deviant workplace behavior, because some people they have the habit of like breaking something when they are in a angriness or when they are in a high state of negative emotion. They used to throw out whatever uh, comes into their hand, whatever in front of themselves, they will just throw it away. So that kind of behaviors is not suitable at work, and those are called as the deviant workplace behavior. That means because of that behavior, you may break something else, some things in your organization, some aspects of your organization, and those are not desirable ones at work. And then the final one is the safety and injury at work. So individual in negative mood tend to be more anxious, which can make them less able to cope effectively with the hazard. So if you are in a very risky work like a hazardous work, if you are not in a positive mood, if you are experiencing some negative emotions, again that will lead you to cope less effective with the hazards, and the injuries and accidents may be high at work. So negative moods also make people more distractible, and this distraction can obviously lead to careless behavior. That means uh, faulty behavior, the mistakes could be high if the people are really in a negative mood. These are the applications of these moods and emotions in OB applications. How these things affect the workplace outcomes. So how the managers can influence these moods? They can use the humor and give the employee small token of appreciation for work well done. So how the managers can regulate or how they can keep the employees to be in a positive mood. One such way is they can use humor, jokes, and all when they are dealing with the employees, when they are talking to the employees, or else they can give some small token of appreciations like some praise or some appreciation, some compliments could be given by the managers for the work which is really done well. And or else the leaders themselves are in a good mood. Usually, the group's members are more positive, and as a result, they cooperate more. So, again, the leaders should be in a good mood, because the mood of the leaders again translated into the followers. The subordinates will be having the getting the same mood and emotion from the leaders. So, it's essential that leaders should be kept in a positive mood. And if that leaders are in a positive mood and again the followers are again following the same mood from the followers, the cooperation would be really high, and the performance would be also increasing because of this positive mood. And then finally, selecting positive team members can have the contagion effect, because the positive mood transmit from the team members to the members. So some people are they are really like Their sense of humor is really high and they're really good. And whenever and wherever they are, the people who around them will be always laughing and always in a positive mood, because that kind of personality those people are. They will make others in a positive mood. They will always make others laugh, and they will always keep others in a really positive emotion. So we can when we are composing the teams, we can add one such member to the team, and they will keep the entire team in a positive mode always. So these kind of strategies the managers can follow if they really want to keep their employees in a positive mood. This is all about the moods and emotions, the chapter 4. Is there anything to ask? Is it clear? Is the entire chapter is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what about others? If it is clear, raise your hands. - 62 hands have been raised out of 140. I don't know what happens to the other 80. Any doubts for yourself? 72 now. 54. Yeah, com 64, are you here? Com 64.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any doubts on this? Anything to ask? Anything to clarify?
No, ma'am.
Why didn't you raise your hand? If something is asked from yourself as to respond in a particular way, at least you should follow those things, okay?
Sorry, ma'am. Some coverage issues. I can't hear you, ma'am. So I can raise my hand. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So this is the excuse that everyone used to say when they asked to do something. Okay, okay. Thank you for all who have raised your hands. Those 97 people. Okay, you can put it on. And we'll see the review questions for these particular chapter, chapter 4. These are the questions you can ask yourself. If you can answer these questions, you can review yourself whether you would able to answer these questions or not. Uh, you are clarified or you are okay with this chapter. So the first one, what's the difference between the emotions and mood? What are the basic emotions and the moods? Okay. And the second one are emotion rational. What's the function they use to serve? And what are the sources of emotions and the moods? What impact does emotional labor have on the employees? And what is effective event theory? What are its implications? What's the evidence for and against the existence of emotional intelligence usually? What are some strategies for emotion regulation and the likely effects? Okay. So, and finally, what are the applications of these emotions and mood in OB? So these are the questions you could ask yourself, okay, to like self-assess. I will upload the notes in the LMS. So, okay, since you said that you are clear with the chapter, I just want to talk to you something regarding your group. Okay, is it visible? Is the screen shared to you? The group list. Have you all started working on this assignment? How many of you have already started? Raise up your hands. And those 18, please put down your hands. 16, 15. Oh my God. Confused of your responses. Okay, I think 14, around 15 people have already started working on this assignment, group assignment. Uh, about these group formulation, I ask you to formulate the group consisting of both the members from commerce and management. Um an approximate number is 5 from commerce and 5 from management. Altogether, 10 members should be in a group. That's how I instructed you to formulate. The group 1, it is 7 from commerce and 3 from management. Why did you divide it in such a way? Is anyone from group number 1? No one is from group number 1. Group number 2 is okay. Mix of commerce and management around a guy. You all are 3 commerce and 7 management again. Same issue. Why can't you stitch some commerce from group 1 to group 2 and some management, at least 2 management to group 2 to group 1 and 2 commerce to group 1 to group 2. The members of group 1 and group 2, is anyone there? If you are responding, you can switch your members as you wish, or else I will switch the members and upload you to the final group detail. What's your preference? Group 3 is okay, approved. Group 4 is also okay for management and high commerce. Uh, Group 5 is also okay. Group 6 is okay. 5. Group 7 okay. Group 8 okay. Group 9 is also okay. Group 10 again there's an issue. Group 11 okay. Group 12 okay. Group 13. Okay, less number of commas and less number of group 10 also less number of management. You can swap the members here and there. And or else you can swap with group number 14 as well. And group 15 is okay. 16 is also okay. 17 is also okay. 18 okay. 19 okay. 20 okay. At least 4:6 ratio has to be maintained. 21 22, okay. 23 is also okay. 4, okay. 25, okay. 27, 28, 27, there's an issue. 28, okay. 29, okay. What's happened to this 29, group 29? 30 again. 31, 6 members. So you cannot progress your assignment with 6 members. You have to borrow someone from other groups. Whoever having 10 members, you can borrow someone to make it at least 8 or 9. You cannot proceed with the 6 members. It's really low. And the group number 29 also, you have to borrow someone from the other groups. At least make it 9. And group number 30, you borrow one person and make it 9. Okay. So whatever the groups having 10 members, you can like get someone from there, make it as at least 9. Is that clear? I will again share the group details which are okay, and who wants to like have a swap or maybe borrow someone from the other people. I will indicate the numbers. Sorry, ma'am, my mic is not. Why you are saying like you couldn't find 5 management members? What's the issue? And they are not in your area? Is that the issue? I've already instructed you. You have to visit an organization, but if you are not able to, since you are in a virtual environment, this is the issue. If you are like everyone is physically attending, you cannot uh, say these exceptions. So for the visit, uh, the people who, majority of people who resides in a particular area can visit to the organization and get some insights. And the other people who are like far away from the other members can contribute to the other parts of the assignments. Okay. And anything else? And the people and the groups who are having 7 and 6 members, obviously, you have to like increase it to at least 8. The 9 is desirable one and have to make it at least 8. Those members are here. Group number 30 and 29. Sorry, 31 and 29. Is anyone from 39 and 29 is here? Okay, I will again upload this group detail with the comments. Whoever those are okay and can proceed with the same members and indicate the groups which has some issues. I will comment on these document and again upload it to yourself and make the modifications on the group list and uh, resend me before tomorrow night. Okay, so that you can start working on. And it's your responsibility. You all have divided the group, and if anyone's name is missing, if anyone is missing from any of the group, if your name is not there in any groups, it's your responsibility. You have to inform me that I'm not in any groups, and I can like make you join with any other groups. It's your responsibility. Okay. And at the end of the assignment, you should not come and tell that my name is not there in any groups. One has taken me for their groups so that I didn't do the group assignment. That kind of excuses are not available to yourself. You should not tell those kind of things. Okay, is that clear? And who are not attending the class today, please inform this kind of things to other people who are absent today as well. The most important thing is you have to take the responsibility of yourself. That participating in the group assignment is your responsibility. You have to make sure that you are uh, connected with, or you are grouped into a particular group. You are accompanied by a particular group. That's your responsibility. Okay, and please inform those who are absent as well this information, because the groups itself have been divided by yourself. I haven't divided it for yourself, so it's your responsibility. Is okay? Is everything okay regarding this group assignment? And I will upload the list with the comments, and you can modify it. No need to like again changes change the group entirely. Just a small modification could be made. Shall we progress to other section, other chapter? Is is it clear? Anything to ask regarding this assignment or group thing? Anything to ask? If nothing to ask, you can have a break about 5 minutes and join after that. Okay, have a break. Okay, shall we start? You're from 50, you're from which group? Sorry, com 150. You're from which group? Group number. Are you from group number 30? Okay, let me know the issue once I share the document with the comments. Now let's progress to the chapter. Okay, so the fifth chapter, this B, is something related to individual personality and the value. Yes, what happened? Group number 13. Why, if no one is remaining from without any groups, um, you can like borrow someone from the groups which are having 10 members to make it yourself 9, and their groups also will be the 9. Otherwise, 8 is somewhat acceptable. The issue is really having 6 and 7 members. It should be really modified. I'll share the comments with the document, and you can modify by yourself. If it is not possible, I will swap the students and finalize the groups, and I upload it in the LMS. Okay. However, make it sure that your number is somewhere in any group. Okay, that's your responsibility. If it is there only, I can swap it. If your number is not there in any of the groups, you will be missed from the group assignment, and uh, your marks, you will lose the marks for that as well. So it's your responsibility making sure at least you have assigned to any of the groups. And if you are in a group of 10, and if you are the person to be swapped from the other groups, I will make it, but make sure that you have assigned to any group. Okay, let's move. So the personality and values. Again, the specific learning objectives of this particular chapter. First, we'll try to describe what is personality and how we can measure the personality of a particular person, and what are the factors which affects the personality. And then there are two major models which describe the personality. The first one is the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and the other one is the Big Five personality model. So we will learn about those models, and we will try to compare and contrast how these models are differing from one another. And the third objective is so under the Myers and Briggs object indicator, there are four different categories. Under those four different categories, there are two per category. That means altogether there are 8 different personality types. And under the Big Five personality model, the personality of an individual has been categorized under any of the five. Okay. So 5 different personality categories are there based on different characteristics. So under the Big Five model. And other than that, there are some personality characteristics like the core self evaluation, self monitoring, proactive personality. So these are something which are not covered under these Big Five or the Myers and Briggs personality type indicator. So we will discuss about those concepts, and we'll try to understand how those personalities could be uh, predicting the behaviors in an organization, and then describe how the situation affects whether the personality predicts the behavior. So it is obvious that the behavior of a people is governed by the personality, and The personality or how they react or how they express their personality will depend on the situation they have put into. So, in which situation they are in will determine their behavior and the responses or the expression of their personality and describe those things, the effect of situation. There are two different theories could be used for that. We'll learn about those things and then contrast the values, terminal and instrumental values. So we will move to the other concept, which is values. And there are two different major categories of values, terminal and instrumental. We learn about those things and contrast and compare those and describe the differences between the person job fit and person organization fit. So there are two kind of fitness. First, the personality should be fit with a particular job. There should be a match between the personality and the job characteristics, the requirement of that particular job. And the other kind of match which is required is the personality and the organization, the values and the culture of the organization and the personality of a particular individual or particular employee has to be matched with each other if we want to increase the performance. So that match should be analyzed. And finally, the compare Hofstede's five value dimension and the globe framework. So the value dimensions, the Hofstede scholar has formed five different value dimension. Those are called as the national value dimensions, and there's a framework called globe. We'll try to compare and contrast those two. Okay, so these are the specific learning outcomes of these learning objectives, and once you learn this subject, once you finish this particular unit, you could able to achieve these outcomes or these objectives. Okay, so the first thing is personality. What is a personality? What do you think about a personality? What it could be? Yes, my 69 is missing from group number 27. Okay, I'll add that number. Make sure if someone else is missing like this, please inform me. Okay, what's your understanding about this personality? What do you think about it? What comes to your mind when you heard the term personality? Because we used to use these terms in our day-to-day life, maybe without understanding the proper meaning of it. We have some kind of or some extent of understanding what the personality relates to and what it means. Okay, it's like a way of behaving. Maybe, yeah, the personality is a kind of behavior or the way the person behaves in a particular situation or how the person acts in a particular situation. Obviously, that is one aspect of personality. And not only that, the entire characters or the entire behavior of an individual is described by the personality. Yeah. Personality refers to the enduring characteristics and behavior that comprise a person's unique adjustment to life, including major traits, interests, drives, values, self-concept, abilities, and emotional patterns. Yeah, it's a broad definition for this personality, but in simple terms, those are the enduring characteristics and behavior that comprises a person's unique adjustment to life. That means those are the characteristics of an individual, and that doesn't change frequently. Some characteristics are like inbuilt. Since birth, you are having some characteristics, some kind of behaviors you follow or you exhibit, and those are not frequently changing, and those are not affected by some events happening in the environment. So those are the enduring ones, and that will describe what kind of person you are, how you will react, what kind of behaviors you will exhibit in a particular situation. So people used to describe yourself based on that characteristics. So those characteristics are called as the personality. So if we ask you describe about your friends, you may be like saying that that person is really friendly, used to be with the people, really expressive, really talkative, or else you can express your friends as he's very shy and reserved and don't want to talk with others, don't want to mingle with others. So, like how you will describe someone. So that describing characteristics, the in order to describe that particular person, what are the characteristics, what are the attributes we are using is the personality. Okay, so the personality, in a broad way, we can define it as the sum total ways in which the individual reacts to and interact with others. Again, how an individual reacts to the other people, to the events, that is the way, not only for a particular situation, in whatever the situation, whoever he or she encounters in his or her life, throughout the life, he will react in a particular way. So we can like observe it in, we can find some common way of reaction. So that some total ways, not only a particular reaction, the total reactions of an individual, maybe to against an individual or maybe an event, and how they are interacting with other people, whether they are really talkative, easily mingling with other people, whether that person is really outgoing or not, whether he is expressing emotions very quickly, or whether he is like hiding their emotions, or in a stable position, say, whatever happens to him. So that kind of things are the interactions, how they are having the interaction with other people, whether he is handling the peoples in a very calm and kindful manner, or he's rude, or dealing with the people in an aggressive manner. So those are the things, the way of handling with the people. Okay, so that means the interaction. So all these kind of things, how he or she reacts and how he or she handles or interact with other people, will altogether determine the personality. We altogether we can say the personality of that particular person. Okay, so if that is the personality, how we can identify what kind of person he or she is? What could be used for that? How we can measure the personality type or what kind of person he is? The answer is here in the slides. The one way of measuring it is the self-report survey, and the other way, what could be the other way? One thing, that particular person can measure what kind of person he or she is, because you know about yourself. No one else knows about yourself than yourself. You are the person who have the complete knowledge about yourself, because the other person can describe yourself in certain way, but that might be true, maybe it might be a false one. So you know about you than anyone else. So the first way of measuring the personality is the self-report survey. So the people can evaluate themselves against certain factors, okay, and come to a conclusion. Okay, this is my kind of personality. Like I worry a lot about the future through the self-report survey. So there are some like statements have been formulated by the scholars. So against which they can rate themselves, about themselves, they can rate against those factors, and based on the ratings, they can come to a conclusion. Okay, this is my personality type. So through the self-report measures work well and well constructed. One weakness is that respondents might lie or practice impression management to create a good impression. So if you are asked if you have been asked a negative question when you are measuring your personality, when you are asked to measure your personality, maybe in kind of interview situations, if you are been asked to self measure your personality, and if there are any negative questions, what you will do is, even you like uh, a person who wants to highly agree with that negative question, in order to practice the impression management, in order to impress the other people who are in the interview, or maybe the panel members, you will be rating it at a very low level. That means you are lying. You are practicing the impression management. You are trying to impress the other people by lying. So this is an issue. So the accuracy, the reliability of this measurement is not there in the self-report surveys, because if you are measuring yourself, obviously you will try to create some favorable impression about yourself, favorable results about yourself. Even there is negative things, you will hide it, you will lie about those things and try to create a favorable impression. So the accuracy and the reliability is one such issue related with the self-reporting surveys. That is one way of measuring the personality. It could be the other way. What could be the other way of measuring personality? One way we can let the particular person to measure, or else just think. In that meantime, I'll share the attendance link. Okay, so you can give your inputs to the attendance. It will accept response until 12:26. Okay, so let's answer for the question. Could be the other way of measuring the personality. One thing you can let, or you yourself can measure your personality, or else you can let others to think about to measure your personality. That the others way. Okay, so the name for that is measuring the personality using the other people. It's called as the observer rating survey. Okay, self-reporting or else observer rating. That means making the other people measure your personality and come to a conclusion. So it provides an independent assessment of the personality, because that person has no intention of making your personality, or like displaying or describing your personality in a favorable way, because you have that intention, that the other person doesn't need to do that kind of thing. So that is independent, and that will be more reliable than the, or more accurate than the self-reporting survey. So here a co-worker or another observer does the rating, sometimes with the subject knowledge and sometimes not. Okay. So, though the results of self-referred survey and observer rating survey are strongly correlated, research suggests observer rating surveys are a better predictor of success on the job, because even you know about yourself better than the other people. In order to get some favorable outcomes, you will maybe hide yourself or hide some negative feelings, negative perceptions, the characteristics, and make it in a positive, reflect it in a positive way. But when others does the same for yourself, they don't have such intention, they don't have such need. So the results generated by themselves may be more accurate than the results generated by that particular person. So when it comes to the organizational environment, the organizational success, the observer rating surveys are more useful and more relevant than the self-reporting survey. Okay. So this is about the personality and how we can measure it. And what determines the personality? What determines you to behave in a certain way, you to interact in a certain way, whether you interact or not, which determines that? What are the things determines whether you talk to your friends or not? That means not about a particular person, the way you behave. Some people, with the just first meeting, they will talk to the other person like they had been friends for many and many years. But some people, even though they are being with that particular person for many years, they will have just a less conversation with other people. uh, uh, the minimum conversation. They will not be even friends. They will just say, okay, this is my room partner, roommate, or maybe the classmate. That's how the people used to describe the other people. So, why? It's because of their personality, the way they interact is different from one another. So, what makes this difference? What gives a rise to this difference? One such factor is because of your personal characteristics, like inbuilt characteristics. Some things, some of the features are born with yourself. Since the moment you born, you will have certain characteristics. You cannot change it throughout your life. So that is one characteristic determining the personality. Who have asked to share the attendance link, rename it to a registration number. Don't keep your name as your personal names. You have to join with your registration number. What's your registration number? MS 61. Oh, 81. Okay, I have shared it again for yourself. Until 25, will accept. Okay. Okay. So one such factor determining the personality of a person is inbuilt one, the characters coming up with the birth. That means once the person, since the moment that person born with coming to the world, they will have certain characteristics. That kind of influence is called as the heredity. Okay, so the heredity refers to the factors determined at the conception. It means even before you born, you will have to you will be like developing certain characteristics, and those characteristics are called as the heredity. Okay, so the physical stature and the facial attractiveness, gender, temperament, muscle composition, and reflexes, energy level, and the biological rhythms, all these characteristics are generally considered to be either completely or substantially influenced by who your parents are. These are the heredity characteristics. Sometimes those characteristics are completely influenced by your parents, your ancestors. Some characteristics, even they are not completely, but substantially. Majority of the major portion of that characteristics is determined by your parents and their ancestors. Okay, so that is by their biological, physiological, and inherent psychological makeup. They are having such kind of personality. So that is the one factor determining the personality. The second factor determining the personality is the environment. Okay, so that is the environment in which you have raised up, or else you are working, you are getting your education will have an impact on the characteristics or the way you behave, the way you interact with other people. So that is the second thing that have an impact on the personality. Okay, so the heredity approach argue that the ultimate explanation of an individual's personality is the molecular structure of the genes located in the chromosome. So they are arguing scientifically that is ultimately the personality of a person would be determined by the molecular structure, by their genes. The personality would be determined by their genes and the molecular structure which are located in the chromosomes. That is what the ultimate factor determining the personality. So researchers in many different countries have studied the thousands set of identical twins and who were separated at their birth and raised separately. If the heredity played little or no part in determining the personality, you would expect to find few similarities between the separated twins. So the researchers, they have the people who have worked on this field have done many researchers to find out whether the personality is actually uh, a function of this heredity, whether the personality is determined by this gene factor, the biological factor. So in order to find out that, what they have done is they have done a research on the twins who have separated since the birth. From the birth, or at the moment they have born or come to the world, they have been separated from one another. One person raised in maybe Asian country, Asian context, and the other one have been raised in the Western context. So what they have analyzed is whether these two people are behaving in a particular same manner or similar manner, or else there are any differences in their characteristics, because the environment in which you have raised up is entirely different. One is the Western context, the other one is the Asian context. The people, the environment, everything is entirely different. But the only similar character between the two is the biological gene. Okay, the heredity is same for both. So they expect that if the personality is not determined by this heredity, they should have or they should display different characteristics. Okay, so if it is having this high impact on this personality, even they are raised in different contexts, they should express or they should exhibit the similar characteristics, similar behavior. Okay, but again, the findings state that there is a high level of similarity between these twins, even they are separated since the birth. Even one person is raised in Sri Lanka, maybe Asian context, and the other one is raised in Western context. Both behave in the same way. Even they don't even met earlier. They don't even know that they have a twin and living somewhere else. But they both of them have behaved in the same manner. That indicates the heredity plays a huge role in determining the personality. A crucial role is played by the heredity. Even though this there's an understanding like heredity plays a bigger role or crucial role, the environment also has some impact on this person's determining the person's personality. Okay, so we cannot like entirely ignore the concept environment, which is also having a certain level of impact. Maybe the way or the people who talk to you, or the people who are living with, the schools you are studying, your university you are going for, the organization you are working for, everything will have a certain kind of impacts on the personality. That means the way you behave. Okay, so this is about the personality determinant. Is it clear? Okay, hereafter the link will not accept the responses. Is it clear? The personality determinant. Can we move to the two personality model, the Myers-Briggs type indicator and the Big Five personality? Any doubts on this? Okay, so today we will just look into the Myers-Briggs indicator, and in the next class we will start from the Big Five personality model. Okay, so one such model describing the personality is the Myers and Briggs. So the Myers and Briggs indicator is a model used to categorize the personality or describe the personality. So where uh, four different categories have been introduced, and in each category there are two extremes. Okay, so that means we can categorize the people under eight categories, any of the eight categories. Okay, so the Myers and Briggs indicator is the most widely used personality assessment instrument in the world. So this was the most used, widely used personality assessment tool. So based on this assessment, we can put a person into any one of these category. So how this Myers-Briggs indicator measures the personality is it uses a 100-question personality test to ask the people how they usually feel or act in a particular situation. So under the Myers-Briggs indicator, there are 100 questions about the personality. The people have to go through 100 questions and they have to provide their responses against those 100 questions. And based on the responses they give to those 100, we can categorize the people. Okay, that means those questions are related to like how they feel and how they will act in a particular situation. The respondents are classified as extroverted or introverted, sensing or intuitive, thinking or feeling, and judging or perceiving. So these are the eight different categories. Extroverted and introverted are the two different extremes. Okay. So based on certain characteristics, we can categorize a person as extroverted one or else introverted one. That's how the Myers-Briggs indicator categorizes the people. Again, based on the answers the people used to give for the 100 questions. And the when we coming to when we look into the different categories or what does it means, what does the extroverted and introverted means, the extroverted individuals are outgoing, sociable, and the assertive one. That means the people who are really outgoing, like to deal with the people, like to be surrounded by the people, who are really talkative, uh, always enjoy being with the people, enjoy being surrounded by the people. uh, they will be mingle with the people very quickly. With the first meeting, they will get into a friendship with the other people. So that kind of people are the extroverted one. The opposite of these extroverted is called as the introverted one. So introverts, they are really quiet and they are um, really shy and this reserved one. They don't talk much with the people. They don't have many friends. They don't engage in the social events. They don't like to be surrounded with the people. They always want to be alone and they are really shy to talk with the people. So those kind of people are called as the introverts. These are the two extremes. Okay, and that is Myers and Briggs. And the other dimension is the sensing versus intuitive one. So sensing types are the practical and prefer the routine and order. So the sensing type people, they used to do their task in a very organized manner, and they will be engaging in the routine task again and again. They are not engaging in any new or any adventurous task. They wants to be structured. They want to organize everything and they want to do in a very orderly manner, very organized manner, and they are very practical as well. They don't imagine something. They don't live in an imaginary world. Uh, Whatever the things, they will think whether it is practical, whether it could be practically possible, whether it is feasible to do. So those kind of thinking patterns would be there for this sensing people. The opposite of this sensing would be the intuitive one. Intuitive rely on this unconscious process and looked at the big picture. So these people, for the sensing people, they need everything to be structured. They seek for some logical manner or logical order in everything. They look for the details in everything. But intuitive, without any detail, without any logic, they will think about something. They will imagine something. They will live in an imaginary world, and there is no any logic, no any detail, no any hope to do or hope to happen a particular thing, but they will imagine this will happen. That's how a big picture they will imagine, and they will work towards that. They don't work in an orderly manner. Whatever they wish, whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do, they will engage in the things. That kind of people are the intuitive people. And the other dimension is the thinking versus feeling. Thinking people, they use the reason and logic to handle the problem. So thinking type of people, when it comes to a problem, whenever they are in a situation to solve a problem, they will be using a logical sequence. They will go behind the problem and search for the root causes, what causes this problem to arise, what are the reasons behind these people, who are the persons making this problem to arise. So those kind of logical investigation, they will go on, and based on that logical sequence, they will come to a solution again in a process. They will initially find out the problem, and they will develop the alternatives. They will develop the or evaluate each and every alternatives, evaluate the impact or the consequences of each one alternative, and they will select the most appropriate one. That's how they will do everything in a logical manner. That is the thinking type. The feeling type, again, they rely on their personal value and their emotions. They don't seek for this logical sequence. They don't need these evidences, details to prove something. Based on their emotion, based on their values, they will make the decisions. There is not any logical evidences or any details to prove this would be the correct one. They, based on their personal emotions and value, they will try to take the decision. That is the feeling type people. And the final category is the judging versus perceiving. So judging type, they want to control and prefer their world to be ordered and structured. Again, the earlier, the almost the sensing, thinking, judging people, almost they are in a one dimension, they are in a one direction. They want everything to be structured, everything to be ordered, seeking for a logical sequence. So those kind of things are there for these kind of people. So again, the judging also almost the same. They prefer the control, and they were their world to be ordered and structured. So they are the people, they think that the world is ordered in a manner, and we have to follow those order. They want their world to be structured and ordered. Nothing to be happen without a structure, without an order. They will not let anything to happen like that. So that kind of people are the judging one. Again, the opposite dimension of this judging is the perceiving. So they are very flexible and spontaneous. They will take decision immediately. Within a second, they will take the decision. Within a second, they will change the decision. Spontaneously, they will act. They will sitting on the chair, and immediately they will wake up and go to somewhere else. They didn't even have a plan to go to that particular position, maybe a party or go out, but immediately they will come to a decision and implement it. That kind of personality, the perceiving people, they are really spontaneous, and they are very flexible even. Even they plan for something, if it doesn't happen, they will ready to immediately change to the situation. They will immediately ready to adapt to the changing situation. They are really flexible. They don't stick with the structures. They don't stick with the organized content and all. immediately they could adapt themselves. That kind of personality is the perceiving type. Okay, so these are the four different dimension and eight different personality characteristics are suggested by the Myers and Briggs indicator. So these classification together describe 16 personality types. Like we can combine the personality characteristics from each dimension. We can choose one and combine it into a entire personality of a particular person. For example, from the introverted and extroverted, we can choose or we can put one particular person under the introverted category. Under the sensing and intuitive, we can put the person under the intuitive category. Under the thinking versus feeling, we can put the person under the thinking category. And under the judging versus perceiving, we can put the people under the judging characteristic. So altogether, one from each dimension, we can form a personality like INTJ. So, like how 16 different personalities could be developed using this Myers and Briggs indicator. So, one problem is that it forces a person into one type or the other. There is no any in between. You should be either introverted or you should be either extroverted. A person cannot be in a position like in between position is not there. To some extent he is extroverted, to some extent he is introverted. There is no anything to any place to or any space to put that person into that particular place. So that is one of the issue. The person has to be categorized under any two extreme. So that is you are either introverted or extroverted. There is no in between. Though in reality, the people can both introverted and extroverted. They in reality, some people are introverted against some conditions or some situations against some people, and they are really extroverted with the very close circle. But to where we can place this particular person, whether we can place him as the introverted or whether we can place him as the extroverted, there is no in between point. So that is one of the issue of these Myers and Briggs type indicator. Okay, so other than this is the first type. The other type is the Big Five personality model. So we'll cover those things in the next class. Anything to ask? Any doubts on this today's section? Any clarification? Is everything clear? Okay, if it is clear, can wind up the class. Thank you for joining.